So with Arrow out of the way, there's now room for a new DC show on the CW, and it's going to be Superman and Lois Lane. That's what we're going to be talking about in this episode of Legends of Podcasting. So joining me in the Wave Rider, we have
Stuart,
Captain Rob,
and I'm Liam. Ross can't join us today. Apparently, he has gone lost in the Matrix. Hopefully we'll be able to find him, but he chose the wrong pill and now he's gone. So hopefully we'll get him back. All right, so let's jump into it. All right, so there's a gap in the schedule now. We know that Green Arrow is now done, and we're finally going to get a specifically just Superman and Lois Lane show, which is a spin-off from the Supergirl show. So there isn't too much news we know about this at the moment, but we know a little bit. But let's start this off first of all. What do you guys think about this version of Superman having his own show?
I mean, would I prefer it to be Brandon Routh Superman?
Yeah, after his performance in Crisis, man, I definitely want to see more of that.
But I mean, from the little time he's got, I mean, he's been like maybe 6 episodes of Supergirl, I think. I'll work out on the top of my head. He seems like a pretty good. I kind of want to see him get his own show to see if he can sort of add to what he's built on in the little time he's had with Superman, especially Clark Kent parts. Like if you go back to like the show we had, which was like a Superman Lois TV show, was the Dean Cain Terry Hatcher one. And some of the best bits about that show was when he was Clark Kent doing Superman stuff like under the radar and stuff like all that kind of stuff. So it'd be really cool to sort of bring that in. But I guess because she already knows he's Superman and he's got like 2 kids now, that might not happen. So it's going to be weird trying to incorporate having 2 kids. I'm guessing there's going to be a time jump, so they're going to be babies. Going to be maybe they'll do a time jump on a few. They'll be 3 or 4. They'll get their powers and have to try and deal with that. And then I'm really interested. I'm interested to see how far they're going to go maybe with some of the bad guys as well. So we've had like a few in Supergirl, like Toyman and stuff, because you bring some of the bigger bad guys into it. I have Mongol come down from Warworld or something like that.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe a different tack might be, rather than all the villains showing up and it being more of a Superman-focused show, it might be more to do with the family life of Lois and Clark, based upon the fact that we know from the end of Crisis on Infinite Earth, spoilers for those of you who still haven't seen it yet, and it was months ago, so get on with it. They now have two children rather than one, was one of the big surprises that came out of the new universe. So I think there'll be a lot of parenting woes, and it'll be more about dealing with how do you bring up kids with superpowers.
It'll be interesting, and it's a change in the dynamic that we've had with the other shows so far, because the different setups you got. The closest you're going to get to this is Black Lightning, because that's a family setting. And it's with the dad being the main superhero, the mum having no powers. You should watch it. If you haven't watched the latest episodes of Black Lightning, I don't want to talk about it. But we know that he has daughters that has powers. So it's in a way, it's a similar setup. It's a parent with 2 kids that have powers, but the kids in that age they're older. So they're out and using powers. This is going to be interesting because it's going to be Superman with young kids, with babies, toddler, and they're slowly going to be getting their superpower at different points.
I totally agree. It'd be interesting to see, because obviously when we saw them at the beginning of Crisis, he was literally like a baby, like less than, I guess, 6 months old, or maybe not even that. So it'd be interesting again if Crisis has made them have kids earlier. He doesn't remember. And then now sort of, toddlers. It make more sense for them to be toddlers, because if they're just babies, then that's not really going to add much to the story. I also quite interested to see more of Lois as well, because we've only really seen the actress that plays Lois in the crossover, the Elseworlds one, was when she was introduced. I don't think she showed up in Supergirl, so I think it was just this Crisis that she showed up in again, very briefly. So it's it's one of those things where we know the characters, but we've not seen them very much, so it's going to be quite a fresh show. It'll be interesting to see as well if he's going to be working at the Daily Planet. So are you going to see Perry White show up? Obviously, we know Jimmy's not going to be there.
It'd be a good way to put supporting cast in place if they're both parents working out the Daily Planet. You can introduce a load of supporting cast characters out that way, and the parents, the tribulations of 2 working class parents dealing with super powered children. Be quite a good way of going about it. And speaking for Ross, because I know he's got some hang-ups, I wonder if they'll fix his costume.
He hates. Well, I'm not a fan of it, but yeah, I like the bit where it's got like the gold bit and the cape goes over. Mm-hmm. But why they have this little sort of buckle thing, then the cape makes no sense to me. Why is that not just the cape? I don't know. I don't get it. It's a weird design.
Yeah. I think the suit's fine. I think it looks cool. It's different. I mean, every incarnation of it looks a little bit different, and I think it's fine. I think him as an actor. You what?
You tweak it slightly and give him some red pants.
You just, I don't know what the design choice was behind removing the red pants originally, but it after picking up Action Comics 1000 last year, was it last year or the year before when they brought Action Comics 1000 out?
A couple of years ago.
They did the Jim Lee cover, and he's just there in his iconic red and pants. And yeah, it needs that to break the colour barrier up.
It does. I mean, apparently, if I remember correctly, the reason for removing them was because it was an outdated thing, because the original idea of it it's the whole strongman kind of thing, where it was just strongman's just a person in the little tighty whities, and that's where it was based off of. But I don't know. I think it was iconic with the red pants.
Same with Batman with his blue ones. Can't get them anymore either.
So I think it'll be cool.
What do you think of the actor Tyler something?
I think he's great. I think he does a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not as big as Henry Cavill, but I think he does a great job in the role. I think that he's got the personality of what you want from Superman. He has it. Yeah. I remember he's got the good. Was it the truth, the justice, and the American way sort of going through him? Yeah. Yeah, so I think he's excellent casting. I think it's really cool for him to actually have a series. I remember back when the Supergirl series was originally announced, and we started watching it and thinking at that time, it's like, wow, this is the Superman show that we're never going to get. You'll never get it as Superman. But for us, we're going to get it. So
I wonder if it's
going to see where they go with it.
I wonder if it's going to take any comparison to Lois and Clark, the Adventures of the Superman Adventures back in the 90s.
It'd be cool if it did do a few little sort of nods to it, because it's quite an iconic show now. I was kind of thinking, what do you think it's going to affect Supergirl in any way? Obviously, it's going to be. Are people going to watch Supergirl less and start watching the Superman show? Or?
Well, they might do, but I mean, Supergirl's got its core fan base now. If the figures for the last couple of seasons have been fairly steady, so people are going to watch that. I think people would be more excited to see a Superman show than a Supergirl show, because that's just the main character. But it depends what they do with it. If it's more of him being a stay-at-home dad with Lois alongside him, rather than superheroics, it might be not as much watched. A bit of a lower demographic, maybe.
It depends on what the audience is that you're targeting.
Yeah.
If it's the audience that now has young children and grew up with superheroes, then you may get that. Also, it's because it's a different take on Superman. With regards to movies and TV shows, you haven't had this yet. So, and it's a big name. So for sure, the pilot episode is going to get huge ratings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to you guys would be, I've not really been following it. I've read the first issue, but you've got the Super Sons comic that's come out of DC featuring Jonathan Kent currently, and Damian Wayne, of course. I haven't really read a lot of that. I don't know if you have, Liam or Stu, but do you think it's going to take any of that as inspiration for where to go?
I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know how closely they will follow the comics for the Super Sons, because there's only one kid for one. Superman has one kid on that, and also it's with Damian. So I don't. If there's any connection to it, I think it will be subtle nods similar to what you'll get to the Lois and Clark New Adventures of Superman TV show. I think we're most likely to get some nods in that direction, but not some full-on copying elements.
I guess if they get far enough with it, in like a few years' time, if they could bring and give like the Damian and Jonathan show its own show rather than sort of cameo thing, you could get to that point where when they're both sort of young teenagers and sort of hang up, you get that would be pretty cool. But they'd have to sort of introduce Damian into Batwoman, unless they somehow bring a Batman show in after Batwoman's been around for a while. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's cool to have a Batman show.
It's going to depend on how old the kids are going to be in this show. One thing I'd like to see on this, now I'm thinking about it, I think back to Lois and Clark, New Adventures of Superman, on the pilot episode of that, which was a longer episode, there, one of the big scenes, the big scene really in that was a bit where Superman carries Lois through the window in the Daily Planet, carries her in and puts her down. I want to see that on the on this. Oh, as an homage, yeah. I want to see him do that.
Not him like grabbing the bomb and just eating it. Thinking like, or him. Was it? That's the funniest bit. I watched it a few months ago. That's where it's when like Lois tells him to be ready, so she like knocks on the door and he opens it and he's just wearing a towel. He's like, hey, Clark, I told you to be naked. I mean, dressed. Ready. That's hilarious. Yeah, he just goes in speed changes and comes out really quick. Yeah, good show, man. I need to watch that again.
Yeah, that was cool. It'll be fun to see it. But obviously, the actor of Dean Cain, we're not going to get appearing in anything anymore because, spoiler alert, for anyone who hasn't caught up on Superman, Supergirl. Oh, have you not watched it, Stuart?
Yeah, no.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So he's not around anymore.
My hand across his throat. Yes, because he's
So he's not going to be appearing
he hasn't been in it for like 3.5 seasons. So it's been weird why they suddenly kill him off. But
there's some stuff on Twitter that's not particularly pleasant, but that's by the way. So yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's it. I mean, there isn't too much information out right now about this upcoming TV show, but we're excited to see it for sure. Are you guys excited to see it? We'd love to hear from what you guys think. Do you care about this? Do you think this is going to take away from the Supergirl show? Do you think it's going to add to what we have on the CW? It'd be great to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments. Just look for us across social media. Look for Legends of Podcasting. And of course, you click subscribe wherever you found this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, and click that subscribe button. If you're on this to the audio version, subscribe. And and of course, if you want to, you can support the podcast also on Patreon. Head to Patreon, look for Legends of Podcasting. So that's all from me.
That's all from me. Beautiful.
All right, lovely.